Hello and welcome to Tiny Desk Knitting with Emma. Today is, I feel like I should start saying today is Tuesday because I release these on Tuesdays, but it's Monday afternoon and I'm totally recording this on a Monday, so I feel weird lying to you about that. So yeah, hi. It's like, I think we're only 1 week away from turning the clocks forward so that it will be even lighter in the afternoons. Like, it's like, I don't know, almost 5 and it's still light here, which is funny because like in Vermont, where I grew up, it's like definitely darker earlier there, just because it's further north, so that's fun. But yeah, it's already like light until 6-ish here now, which is amazing, and so I'm really excited for it to be light at 7 next week. I'm wearing my oldest sweater today. I shouldn't say my oldest sweater because I have more than one, and I've knitted it even more than that number of times. So this is the first one I knitted. This is one of my first COVID sweaters. I don't know if you guys have like memories of when you knitted sweaters. I think a lot of people do, because like if you're working on something for a long period of time, it sort of becomes connected with like that time in your life. Like you remember doing things while working on the project or like around the project or what you were watching when you were knitting it or something. And so I remember when COVID started, I had just come back from England and I bought a bunch of yarn in England. And when I came back, I got a bunch of yarn in the mail from the Woolly Thistle that I had ordered when I was in England, because I knew about halfway through that week, it was like, the week I was in England was the week that everything shut down in the US, but England was like a week behind. So everything was operating as normal there until basically the next week, like when they all knew it was like schools were going to close and all this stuff was going to happen. It was like, I was visiting my friend Catherine, who lives in Guildford, and I was actually on a fieldwork trip. And she was hosting me, and I was doing research for my master's thesis with Catherine. Like, she was kind of like the subject, and it was her church music stuff. And she said, it feels like this is what it must have been like right before the war. Like, they knew that the war was coming. They didn't know what was going to happen. Things were really unknown and kind of scary, but like things were operating as normal for a few more days or weeks or months. And I thought that was a really interesting way to look at it. Anyway, so I got a bunch of yarn when I was in England because I just wanted to buy yarn because I was in England and they had all the good stuff, like that I could touch at the store and be like, I want that color. And then the Woolly Thistle was having a sale, and I knew I was going to go home because I knew COVID was going to start. And so I bought like 3 sweater quantities from the Woolly Thistle also. And this was like before, like they were not brand new. They must have had been around for a few years, but they were still pretty small. Like, I don't think they were still operating out of Corinne's house, but they were like, you know, maybe it was just her and Maggie, and maybe they had one other person. And it was really small, and it was like, they were like in their very first post Corinne's house location. So, like, I didn't know them or anything. I think Corinne might have been doing YouTube videos though, and I was probably watching them, and that's how I knew about it. And I had ordered yarn from them before. I had ordered Ralma Finnelgarn, in fact, and that was when she designed the vanilla sweater, and I knitted my own like version of that as a V-neck in Ralma, and I love it, and I still wear it all the time. But I got really into the idea of just like plain sweaters, actually, from knitting that vanilla. It wasn't a vanilla sweater like that she had designed. It was like the Cumulus blouse or something, but I liked the idea of knitting a really plain sweater, and I wanted to do that. And she hadn't released the pattern yet, and I was like, okay, well, I need to make this instantly. So I need to figure out something to do. I need a workaround. And so I knitted the Cumulus blouse, and I liked it so much that I wanted more just like plain sweaters. I just thought, this is really nice, and I'm gonna wear it all the time. I want to make like one of these in every color, but in different styles. And so this one I made in Tuku wool, just like regular Tuku wool fingering weight yarn that I had purchased. I can't remember if I got this one in England or if I got it from the Woolly Thistle. Could have been either. You can get Tuku wool at the Woolly Thistle if you're in the US. Sorry if that was really aggressive. I just think that you should do that. Okay, that happened. I should have foreseen that. Ugh. This is what Tuku wool looks like. This is an orange skein. This color is Repo. This is what Tuku wool looks like. This is an orange skein. This color is Repo. This is what Tuku wool looks like. This is an orange skein. This color is Repo. This is what Tuku wool looks like. This is an orange skein. This is an orange skein. This color is Repo. I have a lot of like random skeins of this and like 2 sets of 2 and 3. I think I have like 2 oranges. And I have a bunch of gray, and I think I have like gray. I have a bunch of gray, and then I have a couple orange and a couple navy and a couple brown, or maybe just one brown. And I thought I should do like a cardigan or pullover of color work with the gray as the background, and then the like orange, the navy, and the brown as the color work. This was a thought I had several years ago. It hasn't been executed yet, but it may be someday. I'm trying to get this to like focus on how nice it is. Oh, that's good. It's like, okay, so if you've never touched Tuca wool, first of all, if you want to get it, the Woolly Thistle link's up there. It just says 100% finished wool. That's what the label says. That's all we're getting here. It's like fen wool, I think. It's not like very soft, like it's not like a merino soft yarn, but it's not like really itchy. Like I don't have anything. I have a tank top on under this, but I don't have anything else on underneath. Like it's not itchy on my arms. So this particular sweater that I knitted in the green color, which I think is called Lehto, Lehto. It's like the medium green. It's dyed on a gray base. It's just stunning. Like the way that the yarn blocks is so beautiful to me. And I remember knitting this, and every single person who saw me wearing it, because like I was home, it was like April of COVID 2020, and so I was in Vermont. You could go out with a mask and like see your friends and have coffees outside and whatever. And I was wearing it like all the time when I finished it because I loved it so much, and everybody was like, where did you get that sweater? And my mom immediately needed to knit one and like ordered Tuca wool and made one. And I made another one in Rauma. I made another one in this like, in the bar Rammutitis that Monica sent me, like later that year, I think, because I just really liked the way that the sweater was constructed. So this is the Aldous sweater by Isabel Kramer, and it has like these kind of like fake saddle shoulders. So this is a seamless top-down sweater. There are like fake pearl seams on the back and on down the sides. So hopefully you can see the fake seam, so you can tell which is the back really easily. And also down I don't think I actually did it on the sleeve. I didn't do it on the sleeve, but also the second time the other time I knitted it for myself, I did it on the sleeves, but it doesn't matter. I just didn't feel like fussing with it on the sleeves when I knitted this one. And yeah, I wore it all the time, and I just was so pleased with how it blocked and bloomed, like the wool. I'm not talking about my execution, which I know is also nice. But like it's not that hard. It's just a bunch of knit stitches. I assume everyone watching this knits. But yeah, I was just like really pleased with the way that it fit. And then I just like kept making different versions of the vanilla sweater. Like I made the Cozy Classic Raglan, and then finally I just got that. I was obsessed with the vanilla sweater that Corrine had released, and so I just got the book, the Knitter's Handybook of Top-Down Sweaters, because it was before they sized it for like all of the sizes, and I was like, the one that they have is too big for me, so I'm just gonna get this book and I'm gonna knit it. And I knitted my first vanilla sweater like out of the book. And then I subsequently got the pattern from them, and once they had sized it, and like I made a bunch more of just that version of the plain raglan with like, sometimes I made a split hem, sometimes I made shorter sleeves, and I have like, I don't know, 5 or 6, maybe more, just plain sweaters in a variety of styles, both the vanilla style raglan and the fake set-in sleeves here. And I probably don't wear them as often as I should because I just really like them. Anyway, that's a long explanation of this sweater. But usually I don't talk about what I'm wearing until much later in the episode because I just forget. So I hope you enjoyed that. And I hope you take your own trip down COVID memory lane and think about the things that you've knitted, and then it makes you reminisce. I was listening to an episode of Normal Gossip, which is a podcast, this afternoon while I was driving home, and it was like, Normal Gossip isn't a podcast where this woman has a guest on. They talk about the guest's relationship with gossip, and then the woman is about my age, and then she tells them a story that has been sent in as a gossip story, and she changes all the names and she changes enough details that like ideally you wouldn't know who this was if you knew them, like maybe. And so yeah, she's told a story that like took place in the early pandemic about, oh my gosh, it was so funny. It was about this guy that was like swindling people into buying what he pretended was like locally caught fish, but in fact they were not locally caught fish. I don't want to ruin the episode in case you have listened to it and you're planning to, but if you like that kind of thing, Normal Gossip is really funny. I used to listen to it like 2 years ago, and then I pretty much completely forgot about it. Like, I don't know, I like listened to one or two that I was just like, maybe I just listened to it too often and I was like, I'm sick of this. And I like refused to listen to it for 2 years. And then I remembered an episode that I really liked that was about a woman who faked running a marathon. And I was like, yeah, that sounds like something that would entertain me again now that I've run a marathon. And I listened to it again and I was like, this is the funniest thing I've ever heard. And I just immediately listened to like 10 more episodes. So I like it, but I can't listen to it while I'm running because there's a lot of ads. And when I'm in the car, I can just hit the little button on my steering wheel and it just fast forwards 30 seconds. But when I'm running, I have to like get the phone out of my belt and like hit the thing. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. So it's like a driving podcast for me. But anyway, COVID is like mostly, I mean, people still get COVID, but the pandemic, as it were, is basically over. I mean, it's interesting. You still see like, I still see things, especially in like, you know, kind of like art markets and like, you know, inclusive spaces, let's say, where they're like, please bring a mask. And I'm like, you know, it's not just for COVID anymore. I think it's just like asking people to be respectful of like immunocompromised people, or like, if you have a cold, please just put on a mask so we don't get your cold. I know that I have, knock on wood, a very strong immune system from running and also taking zinc most days. At least I used to take zinc most days. I've kind of stopped because I just sort of forgot. I like put the zinc away. It's not on the counter anymore. But my friend Lauren, who's a doctor, was like, it's probably just because you run all the time. You have a really strong immune system. So I haven't really gotten a cold in about a year. Yeah-ish. And I haven't gotten anything serious for much longer than that. Well, not much longer. I had the flu in December 2023. But I feel like part of that is that people wear masks when they're sick. And I'm like, that's cool. Like, they just don't, like, you know, they don't show up to work and, like, cough all over you anymore. And, like, that was normal. That's crazy to me. Like, when I was in college and grad school, probably, I would just show up to choir practice, like, hacking up a freaking lung, like, hopped up on Dayquil, definitely contagious. And, like, yeah, people probably thought it was gross because, like, you thought that was gross, but, like, no one expected you to stay home because of that. Or like put on a mask. We just didn't have that culture, and now we do, and it's interesting. Anyway, I feel like I should talk about other things that are knitting related. So I have done some knitting this week. It's interesting. Like, I feel like when I come and talk on here, it's after the weekend, and I spend a lot of every weekend knitting because I go running on Saturday mornings, and then I try to spend a lot of the day resting on purpose. Like last fall, I often had like a rehearsal or like something going on Saturday after my long run, and that was like not good. And I would get really tired and probably didn't recover properly as a result. And so this year, I'm just trying to like really focus on recovery. And I'm like, okay, if I have things to do, like if I have like errands to run, I really should do them on Friday or maybe after church on Sunday. Like groceries, and you know, I can like do some light cleaning in the house and stuff after my runs, and I cook usually as long as I have the groceries here. But like, if people want to see me, come to my house. We will sit on my couch and we will talk, and that is all you are getting from me. Like, I'll watch movies, I'll like eat food. I'll go somewhere else to watch movies and eat food. But like, for the most part, I don't want to leave the house. I'm like more interested in just like chilling. So I'm doing a good job. Like, I get a lot of knitting time on Saturdays, which is also good because sometimes I just feel like I want to knit, and I'm like, I don't always have time during the week to knit as much as I used to because I have more things that I like to do, and that's good. It's good to be a well-rounded person. In my, like, I'm happier because I have a wider variety of things that I need to do, like choir practice and running. But, you know, I miss sometimes like knitting in the mornings and evenings for like long hours. And so sometimes it's nice to like have a long lazy Saturday where I can just knit whatever I want. So I did not make any progress on the pink sleeve after casting it on and knitting the ribbing last weekend. Instead, I obsessively continued knitting these socks until they were done. And they are so nice. Like, again, I'm going to give the designer and the yarn full props on this one, because I just think that this pattern is gorgeous, and I think that this yarn is nice. So the yarn, as I said last week, I'm going to show you again. This is Eden Cottage Yarns Milburn 4-ply in the color Thyme, like the spice thyme, T-H-Y-M-E, which is 85% Blueface Leicester and 15% silk. And I knitted the Shell Cottage socks by Helen Stewart, which is in her Handmade Sock Society season 2. And I think, yeah, again, I just think the texture pattern is fabulous. It's so cool. I just can't even, oh my gosh. So it's like, it looks good when you're knitting it, but when you block it, it looks really good. It just looks neat and like cute and orderly and just like polished. I don't know, Helen Stewart has just a way with photography and also designs, and everything she designs just looks really polished. And I have like found so much joy in knitting her sock pattern the last couple weeks, and I'm like, I am gonna like take some time in the next few months and just knit more of them, because it has brought me like freshness and inspiration. And I'm like, I have all this sock yarn, this one is full of sock yarn, and I would like to knit some socks where I don't have to do as much thinking. Like, the pattern exists, I'm gonna get a pair of pretty socks out of it, and I don't have to do the designing and the thinking and the like, you know, emotional labor of knitting your own pattern. I will not stop designing socks. Just gonna take a few months, and like maybe I will actually write some of my own patterns up and photograph them and release them. That could be more inspiration for writing new patterns, but I have a backlog now. And again, I still haven't photographed them, but I gotta do that. I don't know when. It'll happen. Like one day. But I thank you to everyone who's like asking me. They're like, I want to knit more of your sock patterns, and like I feel like there should be more. I'm like, there are more, I just haven't like written them or released them. So yeah, I will eventually get on that so people can knit them. But I just really liked knitting these, the Shell Cottage socks from the Handmade Sock Society season 2. I love the Handmade Sock Society. What it is, it's like a subscription. So if you, I mean, when they're all released, you can just get the set. But before, like, she would announce it on Instagram. I don't know if she's going to keep doing it. There's already been 5, but sometimes she like skips a year. She also does this with shawls, or she used to, where you'd like, there'd be a theme and she would present the theme, and then you would get a discount if you signed up before she started releasing the patterns, and it would be like, you know, $10 for all of the 6 socks, or $15 instead of like 25 or 30. Like, you got like, I don't know, it was a nice discount if you got there in time and you were like aware and following her. So once I like was aware of it, I would always get them, you know, in advance, because I would see them on Instagram and stuff. But and then like she releases like one every month or one every 2 months or whatever, and I would like, this was like during peak COVID, like the year that I was started Tiny Destiny, because I was a nanny, and I knitted so many of those socks. Like, when she would release a new one, I would knit it immediately. It would take me like 3 days and I would have a pair of socks. And then I did like the whole backlog of, not all of them, but I loved season 2 so much that I knitted all of those. And I did like 4 from season 3 and 4 from season 4. Probably did 1 or 2, maybe 3 from season 1. I never knitted any from season 5, but like I bought them because I just like love the vibe of it so much. Like, even though when she released season 5, I was doing a lot of my own sock designs, and I never intended that I would spend any of that year knitting them, I was like, I need to support this designer because I love what she is doing, and I just like respect her so much. I would like to own these patterns because they're beautiful. Like, what an inspiration to me, even though I will never achieve what Helen Stewart achieves in terms of her design and her polish and like the beauty of what she does. I think she's awesome, and I just want to like support that. And my mom has knitted a lot of her shawls, and I think a lot of people have knitted a lot of her shawls because they're awesome. And she loves to do like I'm gonna release 4 patterns during Advent, like knit. I think she calls it Knitvent. They're so cute. I just think that's such a fun idea. If I could ever like get myself together to do that, I would, but it's her thing. I don't want to step on her toes. So I'm gonna put these back, and so I really want to just like use some of this sock yarn to knit some socks that I didn't design, and probably that she designed, because let's be honest, they're really nice. Like, I have this set that I dyed that my friends wrapped up for me last year that I would like to use for one of them, and I really like that she often does hers with contrasting heels and toes, and it's like I have this big bag of scraps of sock yarn that I think would be really fun to use. This is a nice color, but it's hard to show design with this dark red, so I think it would have to be like a texture design, so I might use that for my own pair of socks. I have this skein of Rambler that I wound up a long time ago I would like to use. Yeah, I almost never knit patterns twice, especially sock patterns, but yeah, these, I like them so much. Like, yep, knitting these twice. This would be really fun, especially with like a, this is my huge bag of sock scraps. Yeah, what if I did like hot pink heels and toes? Oh, that would be fun. Or even like the pink sparkle. Also fun. There's just like fun ideas. It's like almost like, I call this strawberry lemonade when I dyed it, because I dyed this yellow and then I just like poured fuchsia dye into the thing after it had like already had citric acid in it and like boiled, and so it like did like some kind of like janky coverage of the yarn in the pink, so you can see a lot of yellow poking through, and I thought that was so cool. And I love the socks that I made with this yarn. I don't know, but I just think this will be fun, like to choose some skeins and like let them inspire me, and like let patterns that someone else wrote inspire me. I just think that's a nice idea, especially when you're like, I just don't have the brain power to think about my own patterns right now. I just don't. I do not. It's too much. So let's let someone else think for me. I've also started making my sock legs, as you can see in the ones that I just hung back up, shorter. Like, instead of 64 stitches, I do, or 64 rounds, or 60 or 70 or whatever, I do like 40. I feel like 48 might be better. And like they're past your ankles, but the leg just takes way less time to knit, and it just feels like you get to the heel a lot faster. Excuse me. And I'm like, that's kind of nice, you know? So anyway, that's my sock stuff for right now, and I'm pleased with it, and I would like to keep knitting Helen's patterns for a while because I think they're nice, which I've said several times. But yeah, have I been knitting anything else? Oh yeah, that's right. Monica had her baby, which is really exciting. She didn't know if it was a boy or a girl, and it was born on Friday, and it's a girl. So sorry if you're watching this, Monica. I'm gonna see you tomorrow and give you this little hat that I knitted for your baby. But I knitted this hat yesterday. I was gonna knit a classic ribbed hat from Pearl Soho, and I cast it on, and it was enormous. And I was like, that is way too big for a newborn. So I just ripped it out and like cast on 60 stitches instead of like 85. Or I think I did 64. And I think it will fit a newborn because it is extremely stretchy. It is not a small baby. She was like 8 pounds, but Monica's doing great. She went home from the hospital yesterday. I'm gonna go and see him on Wednesday, and I'm super excited to meet the baby and give her this little hat. And I think it's so cute. And I used hand spun. So I had been saving this. I feel like I showed this on the channel once. So like, this was just a little nugget of hand spun that I came home one day from church, and I was talking to my mom and on the phone, and I just like wanted to spin, and I didn't want to spin whatever I had on the bobbins. So I just like found some random braids in my stash, and I just like tore off a piece of either one of them. And I spun like, I don't know, 50 yards of each, if that. Plied them together. Like, this whole thing took like the span of 2 hours. Like, I did not let the bobbins rest, which I know you were supposed to do. I didn't care. I was like, I want this to be a yarn. And I like immediately wound it into a little ball after I washed the skein. And again, like, I don't know, maybe 50 yards total. And I was saving it to make something for like a baby, and I was gonna maybe do something for my friend Mike's baby, but then I thought that I had enough to make an entire hat with just the one skein, but I was like, then his baby was born in the summer, and so I thought that like her head might be too big by the winter when it was like time to wear the hat, so I just saved it. And then Monica's baby was a girl, so I was like, great, I will make this tiny hat. And I immediately was like, I'm gonna lose yarn chicken. And so I got out a skein of white hand spun and I striped it. I might even write this pattern, because it's like, I actually think that people might want to knit little newborn hats. Thank you. I know I'm supposed to strength train iPhone. I will, promise. I should. Maybe I will do that tomorrow. I don't know. I keep putting it off. I didn't do it at all last week because I was just like really tired, and I was like, I think strength training will make me more tired. But I'm going to do it this week. Anyway, I might write this pattern up. Yeah, I just did like 6 rounds of the barber pole hand spun, and then 3 rounds of the white hand spun is all in 1x1 rib. And then I just, yeah, the crown was super easy. And I think it's cute. So that was great. I'm excited to give Monica the hat for her baby. And I also spun more of this purple, which is now on the second bobbin. So I'm trying to decide like when to stop this first bobbin and just ply it. I could spin the whole bobbin up and just ply like multiple, like I can't have the 2-ply fit on one bobbin. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this one's like too close to full, and this one will also be close to full because they're gonna ideally have the same amount of singles on them. So like, I'll have to split it into at least 2 skeins because it won't all fit on one bobbin when I ply it together. So I'm trying to decide like when to just stop and start plying them together into smaller skeins, because like I could do 10 small skeins. Well, it won't be 10. I could do 3 or 4 small skeins, or I could do 2 big skeins. So I don't know. We shall see. I think I would like to do 3 evenly matched skeins if possible, because there's 300 grams total of the fiber. So that would make for 3 even skeins. I don't know if that will happen, but that's pretty. Sort of. I'm not sure if it's focusing, whatever. Yeah, been enjoying this. So I'm gonna keep working on it. I don't tend to spin for very long. I'll just like pull off a piece and just spin until I get to the end of the small piece. And that's actually really nice. It's like a little bit of time spent with the wheel, doing something different while I watch TV instead of knit. Take a break from knitting, give your hands a break. Do it in the evenings, you know. Yeah, so I hope everyone's been well. It was really warm last week here, and then it got really cold again over the weekend. We had like a false spring, which happens most places in the Northeast all the time. So I think it will start warming up again here probably soon. It's now March, so you know, at some point. Yeah, like this month we will have cold days and we will have warm days. It's like May in Vermont. So that's fun. I say that's fun all the time. That's like one of my tics when I'm talking to the camera. Isn't it fun when you notice the things about yourself that you're like, that must drive other people crazy? I like to be aware. None of us can necessarily change our weird tics, but we can try to be aware of them and like make fun of ourselves for them, I think. I trust people more who make fun of themselves and who are like willing to make fun of themselves. A lot of people take themselves way too seriously, and I'm like, what's the point? You're goofy. You're weird. You should celebrate that. You should laugh when you make a mistake and be like, wow, my bad. You know? A lot of people don't do that. they get like defensive and they're like, it's your fault. I'm like, to anyone, not just me. And I'm like, how is that my fault? You can just apologize. You don't have to like blame me for something that was all you. I don't blame anyone for something that's all me or even partially me sometimes, you know? Taking ownership is a very adult thing to do. And I don't think that many adults actually do it. Sorry, this is where you get to the point of like deep thoughts with Emma because I don't have any more knitting to show you. I guess I could, well, I showed my cowl last week, but it's not, I don't think I've worked on it very much, if at all. Well, I don't think I've worked on it at all since last Monday or Tuesday, whenever I filmed. So I'm not going to show you that because it hasn't changed. Yeah, trying to like think what else to talk about. I did watch a new show this week. I think I was talking about this last week. I got a like free Apple TV for 3 months because I got a new computer, and I immediately watched Ted Lasso again because I love it so much. And then I was like, well, I guess I should watch some other shows because people keep talking about them, like Severance. I have not started Severance yet because I'm like, I don't feel like I'm mentally prepared yet. But I did watch the first season of Shrinking, basically in like 2 days. And I even started season 2, and I was like, this is so charming. It's sad and charming and like so real, and everyone is so good in it. Like the actors are amazing. So I thought that was fantastic. Oh, and I've been watching The White Lotus, but I haven't watched last night's episode yet because I was watching the Oscars last night, of course. I was really pleased with the Wicked performance, and I'm very sad that Wicked did not win. Cynthia and Ariana didn't win because I thought that they were amazing. But I would have been shocked if they didn't win for Best Costume and Best Set. So I was like, how can you not win for Best Original Score? And I was like, I guess it wasn't an original score. Like Stephen Schwartz wrote the original score in 2003, and so this is just the score that he wrote, and then he reorchestrated it to be more dramatic, which is awesome. And that's why the new soundtrack is so good, even though the old soundtrack is also so good. Yeah, so I watched the Oscars. I watched Shrinking. I'm rewatching Under the Banner of Heaven because Jordan hasn't seen it and she wanted to watch it. Jordan is my roommate. And so we started watching that again, and it's never gets old. It is so good. It is kind of a scary thriller. It's like based on a true crime book by Jon Krakauer, which I think I said a couple weeks ago when I was rewatching it. It's really good. I was just trying to remember what I did last week, and I was like, oh, that's right. I was like semi-high on Unisom and basically unable to form sentences, which was probably so funny. I'm so sorry. Wow. But I got my blood work done. And it like came back and they were like, you need to take vitamin D. I was like, cool. Like, I know a lot of people need to take vitamin D, and it probably has like, I know it like sunlight is a way to get vitamin D, but I'm like, how do I need more of this? Like, I spend so much time outside absorbing sunlight, and then it's like, well, there's probably other things where your body's not absorbing it right or whatever. So I'm gonna listen to my doctor, excuse me, and take a vitamin D supplement. I have to get it next time I go to Costco. And also she was like, your blood glucose levels are still too low, even though you say you haven't lost any weight. And I was like, oh my gosh. Of course. And I know that it's sometimes like hard for people to hear this because everybody has different like issues surrounding food, but like I have oftentimes in my life struggled with not eating enough. Like when I get anxious, I'm really not hungry, and so a lot of people have different stress responses to that, and that is mine. And one of the pros about running for me is that I'm almost always just really hungry, so that helps me eat. And I gained like 15 pounds in the last year, basically to be healthy enough to like have my body functioning properly so that I wouldn't like get osteoporosis or lose my period. And I have like kept that on and like built muscle, like a lot of muscle like around it, which is good. But yeah, they're like, you just run so much, you just have to keep eating a lot of like basically slow burn carbs. And it's like, okay, well, I'm just gonna make brown rice like every 2 days. I make brown rice in the oven because it's like really hard to make it right on the stovetop, and you have to cook it for so long. So Alton Brown has a recipe where if you put, so I use like a glass baking dish, like an 8x8 baking dish, and put 1.5 cups of brown rice in, and then you have to boil water, and you put in 2.5 cups of boiling water with like salt and a tablespoon of butter. If you like butter, you don't have to put the butter in. It would be vegan if you didn't. I guess you could put in oil too if it's just for flavor. And then you bake it for an hour, like covered in tin foil, and bake it for an hour at 375. It is perfect every single time. Every single time. It's delicious. It's fluffy. I eat a bunch of it and then I put it in the fridge and I make fried rice with it, and I just like eat rice fried in canola oil and with salt, and that's it. And sometimes I put Parmesan cheese on top. I do that with pasta too, and it is freaking delicious, and it is just straight carbs. So brown rice is like a slower burn carb, so that's good. But yeah. Oh, did I talk about the turkey soup? Because I talked about that 2 weeks ago and then I forgot to talk about it. It was very delicious. If people are interested in it. I actually got ground turkey yesterday and I put it in the freezer, and I didn't really know why I was buying it, so I don't know what I'm gonna make with it. If you have like any favorite ground turkey recipes, you could tell me, because apparently I have no idea what to do with it. I guess I could like make a lasagna. I almost never put meat in lasagna though, because like with the tomato sauce and the bechamel and the noodles, I'm like, this is already enough food. I don't feel like I also need meat. But now that I probably need to eat more protein, maybe I should put meat in it. And I like putting ground turkey in things just because it tastes good to me and it's really good for you. So it doesn't have as much iron as ground beef though. But for a long time I actually didn't eat beef for like 15 years. So now I do, because I wanted to be a less fussy person because I'm allergic to seafood. And so telling people when they're like, do you have any dietary restrictions? And I'm like, no red meat and no seafood. I felt like I sounded like just like a really fussy person. Like, and I just didn't want to sound like a fussy person, but I actually am allergic to seafood, so I can't eat that. And so I was like, I guess we're gonna eat red meat again. Then I ate a cheeseburger. This was when I was in graduate school. And I ate a cheeseburger at Shake Shack, and I was like, wow, this is really good. Why didn't I eat that for 15 years? Because it's bad for you. And apparently I cared about that when I was 10 and decided to never eat red meat again, which again took me 15 years to go back on, but I never asked about hot dogs. I always ate hot dogs. So I did eat red meat. I just like, I never asked if I was gonna eat a hot dog. So I was like, not giving these up. They're too good. Hot dogs are so bad for you too, but they're so delicious. And I like the idea of like not wasting. Sorry, I shouldn't be talking about this. It's like gross. But like you don't waste as much of the animal when you make hot dogs. Anyway, I don't even want to know what's in hot dogs, but they do taste good. I got very off topic because I started talking about food. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't know. I had a huge running week. Like actually for 5 weeks I built my mileage, which was a lot. And most people only will do like 3 build weeks and then they'll do a cutback, but I wasn't doing that many workouts. Like I was just running. So like, kind of like mostly just easy running, especially for the last 2 weeks. So yeah, excuse me. I think that was okay. Like I didn't feel like so fatigued that I just like couldn't do anything. But this is a cutback week, so that's good. And then I will build again. In 2 weekends, Nitin and I are gonna run a half marathon in DC, which is like one of the Rock and Roll Marathon series runs. It's a half marathon, and it's like a tune-up race. It's like a check-in to see if I can run my marathon pace, which is I'm gonna try and run this marathon in the spring faster than I ran my marathon in Philly. So I'm gonna try and drop like 20 to 30 seconds per mile off my previous marathon time in this half marathon, which I think I probably have the fitness to do. Kind of depends on how tired I am at the end of that week. And see how I feel do a few miles a little bit less fast. Slow, that's the word for less fast, a little bit slower, and then I'll try and pick it up and see if I can hold it for like 10 miles. Just see how it feels, because the marathon's still 3 months away, so almost. March, April, yeah, almost 3 months away. So I have a lot of time to get fit. But yeah, I just want to see where I'm at. Because I've been doing a huge build, and so my pace has naturally been pushed a lot faster. Not a lot faster, but faster enough that I think I might just have the aerobic capacity to do this, which would be super cool. So here's hoping. So I hope everyone's doing well. I'm just going to end it here because I'm hungry, and I have to go eat dinner because Jordan and I are going to this walk. Well, it's part of my run club, but I have to like pick up a shirt that I ordered from them, and they have like a run tonight, but I've already run today and I don't want to run 3 more miles. So we're going to just like do the mile that they have, and I might do some walk run with her. We'll see how that goes. I'm excited. Yeah. That's another one of my tics. I say, but yeah, all the time. I noticed this a couple weeks ago. I've noticed it before that too. But I just keep doing it. I know that it's like something that I maybe could stop doing if I cared. I don't think anyone else cares either. Hopefully you're not super annoyed by it and you haven't stopped watching because of it. So I hope everyone has a great week. Hope it warms up a little bit here. I have to sing a lot this week. Ash Wednesday is this week. So on Tuesday we have a rehearsal, and then on Wednesday I will be taking the day off because now I made a like pact with my friend Sarah, who's the other professional soprano in my choir, and we were like, I think I talked about this last time, but we were like, last year we were like, we both have to take Ash Wednesday off. Like, and I've just decided to take off every major liturgical like feast day where I have to sing mass, not rehearsal, but like I have to be on and sing mass at 6:45 in DC, like on a weekday, because it's just too, I'm just like too tired at the end of work. Like if I have to run because it's not Thursday or something, and then because Thursdays I don't run because I have choir practice, it's one of my rest days. So like if I run and then I go to work and then I have to go to sing mass, like not just choir practice, but I have to go sing mass, that's so much. And you have to be really on for mass. You can't be all like goofy and mess up a lot, which I don't do that often in rehearsal. I am a professional, but like you don't really have to be as on Thursdays. So Sunday mornings, for my whole life, I've like, you lock in, it's Sunday morning, it's time to lock in, you gotta do church. But when it's midweek, it's a little bit harder because it's out of the routine. And so sorry you had to listen to me talk about church. So I will be getting ashed on Wednesday. It's funny, people are always like, you can always tell who's like really pious on Ash Wednesday. I'm like, yeah, but only Catholics. Well, it's probably not exclusively true, but like in America, if you were a church person, you know that most Episcopalians, which is the Church of England's American version, which is what the church I sing at is Episcopalian, and I've always sung at Episcopal churches for my whole life, or Anglican because I also sang in Canada for a while. You go to mass at night. So only Catholics get ashed in the morning. Although that's probably not exclusively true. Like my mom probably has gone to like early mass before on Ash Wednesday, and gotten ashed even though she's Episcopalian. So, but people are always like, where's your ash? And I'm like, mass is at 6:45. Don't talk to me. I'm taking the day off and chilling. So I'm gonna go hang out with Monica and her baby because she's not working at church, and so I don't get to see her, which is weird. After she moved to Texas, after we lived in Philly, I like didn't see her for like 2.5 years because it was COVID. So I didn't see her between like her moving to Texas and her wedding, which was crazy. And then she moved to Baltimore and we saw each other very occasionally until I started singing with her at the church, and then we saw each other all the time. So it's now that she is on leave, I don't just like see her twice a week and I'm like, oh, this is weird. We can't talk about knitting and many other things. She was said to me recently, like, you talk less about all the people in your life that I don't really know to me. And I was like, yeah, that's because we work at the same place now. So I talk to you about the people that we both know. And she was like, oh, that makes sense. I thought that was really funny because she always is like, you're always talking about people like, you have a large group of people that, like, characters in your life that, like, all your friends have to know about all the other characters. And I'm like, yeah, I do. I have a lot of friends and I talk about them all the time. So she's like, sometimes it's hard to keep up. This was like a long time ago she told me this, and I was like, yeah, well, I appreciate that you try. It's okay if you don't remember, just ask me, like, who is that person? But yeah, she was like making this comment that, like, I don't do that anymore, and I was like, yeah, it's because, like, we have a ton of overlapping people now and we have to talk about them and all the crazy things that they do when we are alone together. And also knitting, so that'll be fun. Gonna go. Okay, I've been stalling. I was like gonna end this 5 minutes ago and then I didn't. I'm hungry, so I have to go eat. This has been Tiny Desk Knitting. Oh, I forgot to say thank you for watching. I'm totally mixed up. Thank you for watching. This has been Tiny Desk Knitting with Emma. Bye!